Hey, hey, good to see everybody. Awesome. Well, welcome. Hey, I was curious if you guys don't mind, why don't we go around real quick and do like a 30-second? Everybody tell me either a win or something you're struggling with or something that you'd like to share with the group. I'm going to pick John Francis, and then John, you have to pick the next person.
I was listening, but I wasn't that paying attention. What did you say again?
That's okay. I'd like you to a win or you're something you're struggling with that you want to share with the group, and then you have to pick somebody else. 30 seconds.
Gotcha. 30 seconds. When this past week I was able to give a conference with Trauma Center Associations of America. It's an international meeting webinar, and got some good comments back from it and shared basically what we're doing. WeAlign plus mixed with Cosmo. And so I teach those three concepts. So WeAlign, who was it? Rare leadership. And Bill, I call out to you. I told what you said, what you do. So I was just mentioning you on that meeting as well. And so it was a good win. Enjoyed it. Had fun. So that's me.
Awesome.
Yeah. Perry, you're next.
All right. For me, I am using Cosmo for my planning for the week, scheduling for the week, and trying to get my party set up. I think that's helping with my focus. And a challenge is I'm kind of recalibrating and trying to figure out, my niche and the language and whatnot. So I use this exercise as a kind of a dry run, just of a trying to figure out what I'm going to say, who I'm going to serve. So
Awesome. I like
that's
it.
the challenge.
I like it. Good challenge.
All right. So, Tom.
All right. I'm going to go with a struggling. I'm working on the final steps of my ICF and trying to find a good recording. Several of the people I've been coaching lately, the coach is going well, but they're really struggling with more. Oh, they have some anxiety, some of those kinds of things. They want to be coached, but they're not necessarily good non-directive coaching clients. So just needing to kind of rethink through who I'm coaching for those types of things for ICF.
Good. Thanks. Thanks for that. That's awesome, Tom. Who are you gonna pick?
I think I'll pick Brian.
Thanks, Tom. And Tom, if you need help getting a recording and you want someone to coach, I've had a few people offer to let me get a recording. So I'd offer to let you get one. If that's helpful, reach out.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, wins, praises. Yeah, I had another client signed up from one that I'd done in 2022. It's a church lead pastor wanted his secretary to go through it. And so that's fun. I'll get to re-engage with them a little bit, even as a team. And I'm working on the PCC recording, and boy, I'd just love to get that done. So, I had the one mentor coaching session. He said, boy, you're right there. Your client, he's just a little too much of an outward processor to see your skills. But I'd probably pass you, but you might want to get 2 more recordings. So at least I'm there. The mentor coach said, you're coaching at the level, and now you just need good recordings. So
Love it.
Chad.
I am celebrating a kid's birthday yesterday, along with wrapping up 2 volunteer roles I was doing, and just trying to get the client pipeline going a little better. But so that's the successes and the challenges. I can't tell. Jennifer, are you able to speak, or are you in receive-only mode? Okay, then the floor is yours.
Thanks, Chad. Great to be here with you all. So let's see. I just wrapped up taking a team through the SAP, through all the team members, and I did a closing workshop. It was my first kind of SAP experience after foundations last year. So got to dive right in and do 20 people. So I did a closing workshop. It wasn't the team transformation, but just a closing workshop. And I used the exchange approach. And the CEO said, this was magnificent. So celebrating that. And then I just got asked to take a new employee through the SAP as well. So this might kind of be a thing where, every time they onboard somebody, they have them go through the SAP. So celebrating that.
That's
Thanks,
awesome. Congrats, Jennifer.
Thank you. Let's see. Jim Hyde, have you gone yet?
I have not. Yeah, wow. I mean, it's imposter syndrome. Yeah. Celebration today is actually 36 years of marriage for my wife and I. So,
Congrats.
yeah. But I guess, my struggle and frustration is, boy, I got several people really quickly to do SAPs. I did my first five fairly easily, did three more, and now I've stalled and I haven't really had a new client for the last several months. So it's that I mean, Jennifer described my dream. I would love to do, and I'm working on building up the right approach, but there are two huge hospital systems. John has coaching doctors down. I have not had great result coaching doctors, but there's two hospital systems in town. They have internal coaching, but they only coach doctors that are almost about to be fired. I want to approach there's a single huge non-hospital owned, physician owned group, and I want to approach them about doing coaching for docs, not to prevent them from being fired, but to get them to thrive.
So what's the
So
problem you want to solve?
I want to have a pitch that when I talk to another doctor, he's like, where's the data? What data are you going to present to them to sell coaching? Why would they pay you
I
for
agree.
something?
So what
Yeah.
problem do you solve?
I prevent burnout and find purpose and meaning for docs or for anyone
I
who's
don't, that's not really important to me. I don't want to pay for that. What other problem do you solve that would help me as the
employee
administrator?
retention.
Oh, you reduce it by how much?
So I don't know.
It's conflict. You can reduce conflict by 49% just by taking people through this app.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So you're trying to help them with client retention. How much does it cost them to lose a doc?
A lot.
How much?
Probably 100,000.
300% of their salary.
Yeah.
300% of their salary, typically. Executives. And a doc would probably be considered an executive because they're so hard to replace. So those are numbers and problems you go with, right? Just my encouragement.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. It's good to talk through, right? Because we all start talking about what we do rather than problems that we solve, and we focus on us rather than the client. The client is going to buy from you if you have a product that they need, that helps them, that's financially a good bang for their buck, and they have the time. It's really that simple. You just have to be able to communicate with them and figure out what their needs are, and do my needs match the products that I have, the outcomes that I want to give them. So one of the stories I usually tell, I had a group of plumbers. This is a true story. The owner was at the gym and I was talking to him one day because I try to talk to everybody all the time. I have Woo, so that helps. But even if I didn't, I would still try to do it. Right. So I was like, hey, so Tommy, for lack of a better name, what do you do again? Oh, I'm a plumber. Oh, how do you like that? Oh, I'm the owner. Oh, you're the owner. Huh. How's managing? Oh, I have this guy. Oh, you have this guy. Say more. Oh my God. And so he goes, so well, and so immediately I found a pain point. Now you go down that Sandler's pain funnel. Well, what's going on with him? What has happened? What have you done to train him? Has the training worked? Have you done anything else to solve this? Can you give me an example? Could you give me another example? What if I were able to offer you a solution that could help reduce the conflict that you're having, because they were having huge product problems because he's a really strong leader who is an arrogant micromanager. I said, well, if you're interested, we could talk. I have some things that I think would really help your company. So we got together a week later. We talked to him in 3 months, reduced their conflict by about 50%. After a year, I asked both the team lead and the owner, how's conflict? And they both said, independent of each other, we don't really have conflict anymore. Plumbers.
Bill and others, just to build off of that, is I'm coaching a associate pastor, a worship pastor right now, and his whole team is high strategic, analytical, a lot of the thinking themes, and a lot of the execution themes. He's like all relationship, like woo number one. And the rest of the team, they didn't want to do the Clifton Strengths with a coach, but they've done them. And so he walked in with I put together a coaching resource book for everyone that I coach. He took it into a staff meeting last night because they agreed just to talk through their Clifton Strengths. He started reading through like woo, the intrinsic needs, the blind spots, when it's mature, when it's immature, all of that. And they were the most understanding that they've ever been to him, because he's been the odd man out. And they said, that suddenly makes sense. Like, it makes sense when you say that. And they said, I respect your woo. Now I understand it for the first time. Like, because they just don't understand him. Like their comment when he says, I'm all relationship, the executing, the administration, the business side of things, that's really hard for me. And they're like, well, that's what you get paid for.
Correct.
And now they're realizing is that he's the most relational guy on the team. So just that kind of insight, when we're working with people, it can really help teams to understand each other better.
It really can. And if you affirm each other, it opens up trust. If you guys are familiar with the 5 dysfunctions of the team, rather than dealing with the top dysfunction, which is you're not having being productive, you deal with the real problem, which is lack of trust. So it's really good. And I actually use that when I'm pitching, because we're going to build on your team. If you're having problems up here, you're having problems with output, it's because they don't trust each other. So they don't communicate. So they don't own things, and it goes right up. And so you can't deal with the top of the pyramid. You have to deal with the bottom. That's where we work best.
And if any of you ever want to really get into the 5 dysfunctions of the team, don't sign up for whatever course that is, get certified in it. That's really expensive. This is probably $300 or something like that. Gives you all the material that you need to know how to coach teams around the 5 dysfunctions. You can bring the strengths in there. It's awesome.
That's great. Hey, I shared some resources last time, and I was going to share kind of my networking thing, if that's okay with you guys. And I thought most of us struggle here, so that I was going to just share what I do, right? And this actually wasn't given, this was given to me by somebody else, and then I kind of made it my own. So when you think about networking, when I think networking, I think all day, every day, I ask people questions. Now I have woo, but I've also trained my wife, who does not have woo, to talk to everybody everywhere we go. So if you're at Walmart and you're checking out and there's a person there, you should look at them and go, hey, how's your day going? How are you doing? How do you like Walmart? Find some questions, ask them questions. If you ask everybody questions, you're always spreading. Well, what do you do? You're working at Walmart. Is this a forever job? No. Well, what do you do? Oh, I'm Bill Mason. I'm Rocket Fuel coach. I'm an executive leadership coach that works with executives and their teams. And then I usually share, right? Other ways we network, I go to networking events. I go to Chamber of Commerce, and I'm in a networking group. The networking group, if you guys aren't part of networking groups, I would highly advise you, if you want clients, to start going to them. It has been the most effective way to get clients I've had. So just as a thought. And then when I go to Chamber of Commerce, even though I have woo, I don't like to talk to people that I have no reason to talk to. So I have to kind of force myself. And the other problem is I want to talk to 50 people, not just 3. And so one of the things I do is I tell myself, well, before I go to this breakfast, I'm going to talk to 3 people, and I'm going to do it kind of like this. When I think about networking, First, I'm going to start with these ideas that I am not talking about my products. I am not talking about their features, and I'm not talking about my benefits. I'm here to serve. I'm not here to sell. So I really want to get to know other people, serve them, and it's a time to get the prospect to answer questions for themselves, right? While I'm there, I want to remember people are always asking themselves when you're talking about yourself or your products or what you do, they're always asking, what can this guy do for me? The person has problems. Does this person have solutions to any of my problems? Do I want, need, or can I afford whatever they're going to offer? And my goals of the interaction is not to make a sell. My goal is to make them feel valued and heard. Hi, coach. Get their business card, get them to offer their business card to me, and then have them ask me for my card. I almost never give my card away unless somebody asks for it, because if they don't ask for it, they're just going to throw it away probably. And it also forms how I interact with the person. So these are the 4 questions I do all the time. We're at breakfast, I go stand in line. Whoever's beside me, I go, hey, I don't think I've met you before, or at least I don't remember. What's your name? And then I start with, well, what do you do? What's your business? Oh, I'm in real estate. Oh, really? Well, what do you do? Oh, I do mortgages. Oh, that's pretty cool. Well, do you like what you do? Oh, yeah, yeah, it's pretty good. Well, now the next question. Well, why do you do what you do? And lots of people have no idea. I don't know. Well, do you do it just to make money? No, I help people. Well, how do you help them? Oh, I don't know. I help them to find houses, and then sometimes we really get deals for people. It's really kind of cool. Man, that sounds really awesome. That sounds like a really amazing thing to be able to do. Sounds like you really like your job. Well, I do like my job. And you can actually see them kind of, huh, I like what I do. Then I'll ask them, hey, so, so you've said that you're this real estate guy and you do mortgages, and you're really trying to help people succeed and get into these homes. What would success look like for you this year? Look, I don't know. Well, would it look like you sold 300 homes? Well, no, I can't sell 300 homes. And I'm going to greatly exaggerate, right? Well, what would it look like? I don't know. Last year I did 25. If I did 30 this year, that'd be great. Man, that's really awesome. That seems like a reasonable goal. How do you think I could help you? I don't know. What do you do? Is almost without exception the next question. Oh, and I'm ready. Oh, I'm Bill Mason. I'm Rocket Fuel Coach. I'm an executive leadership coach. And some of my clients are struggling with imposter syndrome. The CEOs and executives I work with are having conflict. They're having work-life balance issues. They're overwhelmed by all the things they have to do, or they're busy, 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 but not productive. And those are some of the things some of our clients are dealing with. And I'm sure you don't have any of those issues, which they have all those issues because almost everybody has the same issues. And what I've done is introduced, hey, this is kind of who I am and the problems I solve. And then I shut up and I wait for their response. And they will usually say something in response. Well, I have, and if one of those problems are there, they will often do what that plumbing CEO did. Oh, dude, you do conflict, man. We got this person in our office that blah, 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 right? So now they've just self-announced a problem. If I know I can fix that problem, then I'm going to go down this thing called the Sandler's pain funnel. So that's this right here. So I identified a point of pain. So now all you have to do is continue to ask coaching questions like the plumbers, right? Oh, so you've got this guy who's being a complete jerk. Can you tell me more about that? Oh yeah, he's just always yelling at people and people are always calling me day and night. I can't get people to stop calling me because they're so frustrated and ticked off at this dude. Well, could you give me an example, a specific example? Oh yeah, last week, man, he did this thing. He acted like a complete jerk, fired a dude, and then that guy came back and I hired him back and blah blah blah. Um, and so blah blah blah. So, oh wow, could you give me another example of what this looks like? Oh yeah, and he's going to give you more data. Well, how long has this been a problem? Oh, dude, 2 years. Usually I will go to the future and say, so what happens if you don't solve this? And he told me if this guy doesn't change, I'm probably going to have to fire him. I'm like, bro, fire him. That seems pretty lot big. How long has he been with you? 10 years. How much do you think it would cost you to replace him? Oh, it would be hard. You got to be a master plumber and you need leadership experience. And that sounds terrible. It sounds like a lot of money. It's like, yeah, it was a lot of money. And then the next question, what have you tried to do about this? Well, I talk to him all the time, but he doesn't change. Well, have you put any resources in that direction? Have you given him courses? Have you done anything, one-on-one counseling with him, one-on-one training with him? No, not really. And the things I've done have not worked. Huh. Well, if it didn't work, how much do you think um, this has cost you by him being such a jerk? He's like, man, he's fired 20 people, so I don't know a lot. And I usually give them the data. So if he fired a bunch of entry-level guys, that's 50% of their annual salary to replace them if they've been there a year, just in general. And if they're mid-level, that's 100% of their salary for a mid-level owner. So he's cost you all kinds of money. And I would typically ask, like, how much do you hire a brand new guy for? Oh yeah, like $50 an hour, which ends up being whatever that number is. Man, that means he's cost you 20 times a half a year salary for all these guys. That's a lot of money. Um, how do you feel about that? And he will, well, I hate it. Well, if I had a problem that would solve your issue, would you be interested in hearing more? I would. Well, I can't talk right now, even if I could. I can't talk right now. Remember, I'm not there for the sale. Can't talk right now. Could we get coffee next week and come back and talk about it? Oh, sure. Could I get your card? Yeah, here you go. And thanks for the card. I'll send you my digits later on today just so you have them. Oh, do you have a card? Oh, yeah, of course. Here's my card. It's okay to talk to you next week, or it's okay to get a hold of you later today and then set up an appointment for next week. Of course, that'd be great. Awesome. You don't have time now? No, I don't have time now. I got other things I got to do. And if I'm at the chamber, I really do. Because remember, my goal was to meet 3 people. So I met one person, found their problems, talked to them. Talked to the next person. I get through the 4 questions and I was like, wow, that's interesting. Okay. Well, it's really nice meeting you. You know, same thing if the next person is like, hey, nice meeting you. Great. Nice to meet you. Doesn't matter the outcome. I'm just trying to reach out and ask people questions, just like a good coach. Thoughts or questions?
Key word there, just like a good coach.
Just like a
Love,
good.
I love that. I love that. Asking the questions and follow through later, but just make the contact. Um, I appreciate that. My tendency is try to get a commitment to talk to them later instead of I'll call you later. So I like that. Thank you.
And with everybody, I try as I'm trying to get clients, I always maintain control of the relationship. So like if I said, hey, could I talk to you next week? So if I were to text him, I typically will text people or email them, hey, are you free next week in one of these 3 dates to do lunch or coffee? And if the guy doesn't answer, I'm going to continue to text or call him back or text him or email him until he answers. And if he won't answer, I'll usually call him back just and try. And so if he's like, hey, this is really probably not a good time. No problem. Can I call you when would be a good time to call or get a hold of you? Probably a month from now. Okay. It's like the 3rd of next month. Okay. Sure. Okay. I'll get a hold of you. I never leave it on them because they're not going to remember and they don't care. They just don't care. They don't care about you or your product or what you have to offer. So there's no way they're going to remember to do that. When you think about it, you're a waitress. And what's the waitress's job?
Get you drunk and get you to spend money.
Yeah, get you drunk, buy an appetizer, buy a meal, buy more alcohol, buy a dessert, and then come bring you the check and then make sure you stink and pay for it.
And give her a good tip.
And give her a good and earn a good tip, right?
Earn a good tip. Exactly.
Right.
Bill, I like the fact that you talk about the networking because what you're demonstrating here is just, practice, right? Mm-hmm. Getting used to having those conversations. If you only have these conversations like every once in a blue moon, it's that awkward fight or flight. Can I get your card? Can you give me blood today?
Correct.
So yeah, just having those conversations, practicing, being at ease, and not trying to like close the deal, so to speak, but actually just practicing having these question coach-like conversations and being curious about people.
It's good, Jennifer. And you never know, the person you're talking to might have a need, might have a problem that you need of, or might have a solution for a problem you have.
Absolutely.
You know, when you're wandering through the Chamber of Commerce at a breakfast or a lunch, you should always be thinking that it's like you're the hot dog, peanuts and Coke vendor who's walking around through the ball game. He's not selling to everybody. He's selling to people who want popcorn, hot dogs, and Cokes at their seat and don't want to get up and go pay, and they're willing to pay extra so they don't have to go up to the snack bar and stand in line. But he's only probably going to get 2 or 3%. And if you think about it in concept of all the people that you know, how many clients do you really need? Do you need everybody in the county that you live in? There's 30,000 people live in my county. Dude, I need a half of a half of a half of a half a percent. I only need like 20 people. Start finding them one at a time, pick them off. You know. And if you get a contact, be the person who continually responds back in an appropriate way and try to figure out. And the only way you'll know what's appropriate is to practice, 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 practice. I'm decent at recruiting because I have woo and all the other yellow skills. I suck at recruiting because I have all the yellow skills because I'm really pokey. So if you want a nice, kind, gentle guy to help you out, probably not me. And I try to be nice and I try to be kind, but I'm a little pokey at times without even knowing I'm doing it.
Yeah, Jim and Perry is just that ease, confidence. That's not as easy if you don't have woo or some of those other influencing themes. Like I only have one influencing theme in my top themes, and it's activator, and that does help having activator. But the confidence actually comes with just doing it, just.
Right.
And so it probably took me 3 or 4 years to get traction, and it was horrible those first 3 or 4 years. And so it probably took me longer than a lot of people. And I think that serving and not selling is a
Yes.
big part of that. And just being really, really curious about people, initiating those conversations. And the Sandler funnel is that pain point there is like what's your biggest challenge as a leader, or what's your biggest challenge as a business owner? And hitting those pain points is so big. And I don't advertise it all, and understand I'm a full-time pastor, and so I don't need to make a full-time living off of coaching. But my clients now advertise me, and they hear their friends' problems, other business owners, other people in the marketplace, or other ministry leaders, and they're like, "You've got to talk to my friend Brian." and then it gets really easy to sell because they're coming to you and they're blurting out their pain points. But getting to there is I think at the beginning it's just being really, really curious. And boy, that sounds really hard. One of the things that I do is I help teams team better, and I help with that teamwork kind of stuff. And if there's any way that I could help you, I'd love to continue this conversation over coffee or lunch. And if you really want to be bold, how would you feel about that? Would you want to get together? And then I give them as much free input, like I'll offer to coach them. If we go out for lunch, would you like a sample of a coaching session right now? And I just give it to them right there. And okay, what do you want to focus on right now? What's something that we could work on in the next 15, 20 minutes? And I'll just coach them right there. And it's solely free. They can hire me or they cannot hire me.
Yep. I also offer almost everybody at my networking group, or even out at the chamber, if they'll take the Cliftons, to do a debrief with them for an hour with coffee, because I just feel like it's the best. And I probably get about a 50% purchase rate from that. So they just go through a little, and actually now, if you go to my Ignition Point school, you can see what I talk about. Usually now I send them to that and say, hey, why don't you go through this little 30-minute course before we talk? And then if you do, then it'll be easier and we can spend the whole time talking about you. And we just go over their Cliftons, kind of their big picture, things that who they are, who they're not, things it's gonna be really hard to do. And then encourage them, hey, if this was good, if this pink spoon from Dairy from Baskin Robbins was good. Why don't you do the full sap? It would be amazing. So yeah. So always.
Yeah, that's where I struggle. I mean, I look at I've been a doc forever, and being a doc, people know they need a doc, so they came and sought me out.
Correct.
And I mean, I became a doctor when advertising was only bad or slimy doctors advertised.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've told people but when I was in the doctoring mode, we took Medicare, which meant I got all these older grandmas and grandpas, and who brings them in but the daughter? And seeing me interact with mom and dad, all of a sudden I'm seeing her and her husband and her kids and delivering her grandkids. And, so yes, I have the woo and that stuff, but I don't know how to get in front of the right people in a non-smarmy way.
Where are the groups of people that you can get involved with?
Yeah, I mean, and I work not full time, but I've thought about the chamber. I did BNI for a year. That really didn't turn out to. It was a great experience, but didn't give me any business.
Where do doctors congregate?
At the doctor's lounge. I'm not in the hospitals anymore.
I don't know if there's a Christian medical group or something like that, even online is, most of my coaching is done via Zoom.
Yeah.
I live in an extremely rural town, but Christian doctors associations, things like that. But it takes a little while to find that niche but a lot of the times, maybe even the one-on-one kind of stuff is other doctors that you've worked with in the past. And it's hard because when I first started meeting with people one-on-one, it felt weird because I knew that a part of my reason there is to talk about coaching. And so I had to either say, I'm going to look for some natural way for it to come up. Like I'm just going to ask questions and be curious, and it might come up or it might not. Or a more bold thing is, hey, would it be okay if I tell you about something that I'm doing right now? Whether it's for you or for someone else. For some reason, you're on my mind, and I thought I wanted to catch up with you, see what's going on. I did that less often, but I tried to do it within my normal relationships when it was appropriate. I'd bring up the coaching, but it's hard to get that traction.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm not 100% convinced I want to work with docs. I've been burned by them. They want free stuff and they don't want to spend time or money.
Hey, Terrence, sorry about, I don't know what was going on. It was kicking in and out. So finally got you in. So I apologize.
I'm sorry. Okay.
No, it wasn't you. It was probably my Zoom. Who knows? Yeah. And Jim, my encouragement, you know what we tell soccer players, right? Every goal that you don't kick, every goal that you don't try, you lose. So I would just start trying stuff. And I'm an activator, right? So I'm gonna iterate the awesome guy anyway. And everything I've learned really has been I just kind of try stuff that doesn't work. I try stuff that
Yep.
oh, I tried that. That works. Do more of that, you know. And unfortunately, what worked today might not work tomorrow because for whatever reason.
Yeah, I'm activators number two, and I woo is a little lower, but yeah, activator, communication, all that stuff. But yeah,
Shots on the goal. Shots
yeah,
on the goal.
there you
Find
go.
talk to, find doctors you can talk to, and just get bold.
Yeah.
Hey, could I get 1 minute of your time?
Yeah. And Jim, maybe exploring that. I don't know if I want to work with doctors. Is one, who would you? But then just start in those other areas. I wanted to work with pastors because I'm a pastor. I got zero interest from pastors for probably 4 years. I didn't sign a single contract with a church or a pastor. In fact, because most of them knew me, they didn't want to work with me. Not because they didn't like me, but because I was a colleague and they didn't want to get vulnerable around a colleague.
Correct. Can't give you data because you might use it against me.
And I did a workshop and people in the marketplace said, would you do this in my area of work? And it just shocked me that the church said no. The marketplace said yes.
Of course.
Opened up, and I'm still coaching since 2021. I'm still coaching some of those same people in the marketplace that sat in a room with 24 other marketplace leaders. And so God might open up something in a totally different area. And you being a doctor has some level of credibility with others outside of the medical industry, just because they're going to respect the fact that you're a knowledgeable guy, but you're not coming with your knowledge now. Now you're coming with your coaching skills as an expert coach.
Yeah, I say people will tell me things. I think it's because I'm a doc, but it's also because I listen and have communication. But I find people telling me things and they don't know why they're telling me. I don't know why they're telling. It's like I don't want to know. I didn't need to know that, but thanks.
That's really good.
Yeah. And Jim, I've dabbled in the medical a little bit, and I find it's much harder to get into medical than it is. Like I got a big contract with manufacturing and some with an education, institution, but it's I don't know. It's it's hard with the medical, I think, because one is um their schedule,
Yeah.
right? And then getting the hospitals to pay for it is another big thing. Um,
Right. Getting either the employer or the doc themselves to pay for it. The one thing well, two things that'll get a doctor to a meeting is food and money. So I could just have a big pizza party and they'll show up.
Yeah, one of the other things I did as well, Jim, is for the chamber, in the past I've offered as one of the exit gifts in the morning for the breakfasts is I just offer like a basket and then I put a $1,000 workshop in it, lunch and learn. They get a Clifton's drinks. One person has to sign up. They only have a month to do it to sign up. One person has to take the Cliftons and it has to be my volunteer when I come. And basically, I just go and do a little bit of an overview of what Clifton's is about, talk to that person about who he is and who he's not, jobs that he would love, jobs he hates. And then we do an affirmation exercise with everybody. And it's been phenomenal. Same thing about a 50% purchase rate. And because it's a gift that has value, it's different than coming in and offering a free workshop, which has absolutely no value. Even though you say it costs $1,000, it doesn't really, but it's a gift from a chamber event. It feels like an actual gift. So it holds better value. And I was doing that. I did last year. I did that every month and I got about 50% purchase rate from it.
Yeah, I've been looking at the chamber. I need to look at that a little more in
Yeah, it
depth.
may not work, but it has been fruitful for me. Where are you guys, Perry? You talked about some of your clients. Where are you finding clients?
um, through relationships, and I got to work for a large company just because I was doing a grad school project, and I just decided to just ask about, hey, can I do this presentation and offer coaching for you guys? What are you doing? And liked, he knew about coaching. He liked coaching. And so I worked with them for about a year and a half.
Nice. I'm
Yeah.
also doing workshops at the chamber too. I've asked people, hey, would you like me to come and share, about Clifton Strengths or neuroscience or anything? And I'm doing like 4 of those this year because they're almost always looking for speakers to come share.
Mhm.
So, and then I usually ask them, can I do a 1-minute pitch, which is basically, hey, we do this Cliftons. If you're interested, here's my card, scan the code and take your Cliftons and contact me. And then I also I pass a clipboard around and have them give me their name, phone number, and email if they will. And that way I can follow up with them. And that was really been helpful because it gives me more contacts. And then I just try to meet them for lunch sometime or coffee or something sometime, which is a lot of work, but you know. It's fine. It's the easiest work I've found to gain clients because it gives you an hour to gain trust, give or take. How about the rest of you guys? You guys finding anything else that's working to find clients?
Yeah, like I say, as I don't do a lot of advertising, as a lot of my advertising actually happens through existing clients, which is always the best. That said, is that I am thinking about actually going to some of those clients and asking for referrals.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these clients is now I'm going on 2 years with a couple of these clients, and several of them I coached for like 9 months, and I think that they had a good enough experience. Well, I know that they've had good enough experience because all of them have at one time or another referred me, or most of them, and so I am thinking about that. Um, the other thing is that once I put together some packages, I think that because I've seen church teams and nonprofits get so much out of it, they're the ones that think they don't have the money, but they cough it up after enough conversations. And so I'm thinking about putting together some say offerings around them. Is they don't have as much money for ongoing, a lot of individual sessions, especially if they have a large staff. But if I start with a workshop, end with a workshop, and do something coaching in the middle with individual coaching, a lot of times I can earn enough to make it very worth it for me, and they can get enough value to make it worth it for them. And so just based upon that experience, I'm looking at how can I put something together, because a SAP, when you have 30 people in a nonprofit, it just doesn't pencil. But something with some workshops and some individual coaching in the middle. And then WeALign has been really helpful in saying, at least in my conversations with Dave and Deb, is, hey, yeah, use our material. You can restructure it a little bit. And you don't have to use it exactly the way that it's presented on our WeAlign pages. But I mean, if you're using WeAlign materials, of course, give credit where credit's due, but you can customize those a little bit.
100%. I like it. Any others?
I'm finding some help with working with small Christian colleges. It's interesting. Christian colleges are wanting to do more with entrepreneurship and creating business. And they realize that the future for their students is helping to create transformational businesses. So they're very open to doing some executive coaching or classes or entrepreneurial as part of that, doing strengths and some of those things.
That's really good. How did you get those relationships?
It was a couple of business guys from a large church in the area who were creating a transformational entrepreneurship curriculum that I'm helping to coach now. And they had some really great relationships with a number of colleges. And then it's funny that one college heard about another one doing it, and now they want us to talk to them about it. So it's kind of like building a product, proving that it works, talking to more people. And then once you have something that people see value in,
Yep.
then they're more likely to say, hey, I want you to come and talk to me about it.
Mm-hmm. That's
And
awesome.
another thing I've done is like, okay, I'm doing a beta test with this process, with this like training or facilitating or whatever this program. I can offer it to you at X amount, right? And would you want to do something like that in exchange for feedback? That's been helpful as well.
Nice. Using that as a foot in the door.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's good. I like it.
I think another avenue is, so many people now are going through job change, career change. I just had a really good client start who has an opportunity to join his father's business, but he's not sure if that's a good fit, if it's something he wants to do. Through Clifton's and a number of the assessments we know about, can really help people like that in making those kind of decisions.
I like it. Well, what takeaways have you all gotten from today? What are we learning?
Always be asking questions.
ABAs, always be asking.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of the awkward questions that doctors ask. And when I was in medical school and residency, and well, did you ask about did you ask about her sex life? No, I didn't.
I won't ask that.
And um, just how awkward that was and how it rolls off my tongue after 30 years. To the point where my wife's like, honey, you just said something that this is not the doctor's office. You
Right.
need,
That was private information. Not sure we're supposed to talk about that here.
but it really it is. It's putting in the reps
It
of
is.
I mean, I'm thinking where I work at a it's a not overtly Christian, but we're all Christian. It's a nonprofit clinic, and it's been very slow and awkward, but I've gotten to the point where I ask every woman what their spiritual practice is,
Mhm.
and I share my spiritual practice. And it's been amazing outcomes, but it was just really awkward when I started. And I think I'm still at that awkward teenager stage of I don't know how to say who I am as a coach.
Good. How can
Right
you?
there.
Oh, good.
Sorry. That's a great that hit me really well the way you said that. That's a great way of describing, I think, kind of like how I feel in a way, or just like just not that confident that this is what I'm gonna do because I feel like I don't know, I could do this or I could do that, right? Um, but yeah, but if you want, Jim, we could have like, okay, if you can just do what Bill shared with 5 people, by the time we meet again, I'll try to do the same. And even if it's not anybody that really does want coaching, but just to practice, um, if that's helpful for anybody.
How do you find people that want to coach?
You ask questions.
You ask everybody,
Yeah.
right? There is a, I'm a believer, right? So I think the way you do everything in life, you do what Jesus did in ministry. You preach to the masses, you help those who ask for help, and you train a few, make copies, and the world gets changed through it. So, sales is very similar. I tell everybody I meet everywhere. Well, I ask everybody everywhere about who they are, what drives them, what motivates them, are they having issues? And if they ask back, then I respond with solutions I have. And if they're interested, then we're going to continue to move forward. And you just take them as far as they want to go. You know, maybe that conversation is as far as they want to go. One of the things I did think about doing with us every month was to, when we first get on, to go around the pipeline in a minute or less and share your elevator pitch. Gives you practice. We do that at a networking group. And when I first started doing it, even though I've spoke my entire life, dudes, the first few months going in there, here we go. What am I going to say? I don't know what I do. I'm a coach, but I don't know what I'm doing and I don't like it. And so, right. But now I can just, because I've done it for 5 years, like you said, it rolls off the tongue. Would that be something that you guys would think would be helpful for us?
Bill, that might be great, but maybe even put it into a coaching deal. If we have an equal number of people, even with, say, 6 of us on the call, we could actually split up into rooms and give the elevator pitch and maybe coach each other for 10 minutes around it.
That's a good idea. I like that.
Like that.
No, I don't like that, Brian. We can't do that. It wasn't my idea. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I like that. That's awesome. Cool. Well, we're gonna make the decision for everybody else that's what we're gonna do next month. So I'll put it out, but make sure you kind of figure out a 1 minute or less elevator pitch, and it should be kind of who you are, problems you solve, and why that person might want to hire you. My initial elevators pitch is usually I tell people I'm Bill Mason, Rocket Fuel coach. I help executives break out of chaos, lead with courage, and build teams people love to work for. Simple, clear, direct. So, and I didn't lose their contact. If you go more than a minute, people are gonna be like, well, so
See, I guess, without having those wins, I feel like I'm either lying or I need to say I want to do X because I haven't done X. So to say that's what I do is feels like I'm lying.
what kind of a doctor are you?
A poor one. No, I'm just
No, no, no,
kidding.
that's not what I had. What do you do as a doctor?
I'm a family doc.
So, did you start being perfect?
No.
What'd you do with your first client?
Yeah, I didn't tell them they were my first patient.
That's right. Probably not for the first 5 years. What do you do? I've been a doctor forever. I've been in school at least 10 years. So,
Yeah,
and so you kind of fake it till you make it, right? And
right.
you believe, based on everything you've seen that all the other coaches are going through, do the things that we say will happen with people, are we seeing that happen?
Well, and I mean, I have done 8 SAPs, and except for one that I think really struggled through it, it's been amazing. And people just love. I think it was Jennifer. She said so on one of the calls, someone said something about a client kept giggling and said she felt like she was naked because of how
Yeah.
much she was
Yeah.
exposed by. And I just watched people light up going, that is me. And I love to see that.
So
So
what
yeah,
what I heard you say was 7 SAPs went really good and one went really poorly, and you're convinced that the one was of more value than the 7. Is that true?
no, absolutely not.
And if you did a SAP, you did 5 sessions, so you have 35 stories you could tell.
Yeah,
And be confident that at least with these 5 people, I tell people, I've had a couple people, I've had one person out of about 250 that was not impressed, and he was a doc, but he kind of knew everything, and he kind of whatever. I haven't had another that said, dude, this was not worth the money, even if they paid 2 grand. I can't tell you how many have said, this has been the most transformational thing I've ever done in my life. So I don't focus on the failures, I focus on the wins. And I trust that if this person is faithful, available, and teachable, and I go through this proven process, they are going to get the value that I say they're going to get, probably more value than they're actually paying for. So you're a young doc. Go do what you did then. You're just a young coach. Go do what you do
yeah.
there. Trust the process and the outcomes will flow.
I mean, the one doc who's been a client for a year hates men, hates white people, hates everyone, and yet I can't get her to stop coming back.
Why do you think that is?
Uh, I don't know. I need to think about that. I think because she's desperate, but I think also because I listen.
And why
Mm.
do you think she hates those things, those people?
Yeah, insecurity.
Well, I would agree. If you touched my shoulder and I was like, "Whoa, what are you doing? Don't do that."
Right. Yeah.
What does that tell you?
You got a hurt shoulder.
I got something hurt in there. I
Yeah.
might want to be more careful with that person.
Yeah.
So I think when people are like that, I realize I did a 1 and they came to at me with a 9. Oh, they've got pain
Yeah.
and they're responding out of pain. So when you bring not pain against their harshness, you bring kindness, then they're going to be attracted to you. And you
Yeah.
you never know, you may transform her life. I work with a lot of military, special operating, you know, hard charging, not nice word men, but I'm a bold dude. So I'm like, I don't care what the F you're doing, bro. That's effing stupid, whatever. If you're gonna use those words with me, I'll use them with you. And what I found is guys are somewhat attracted to that. In appropriate contexts, things are okay. In other contexts, my greatest fear would be I'd be preaching sometime and drop an F-bomb, like, oh crap, did I just say that? Not that everybody has a license to do what I'm doing. I'm an evangelist. That's what I want to do. I want to live in the world and redeem people. And out of the gym we work with, we've seen hundreds of people come to Christ. It's been pretty amazing and be transformed in the image. So the right thing at the right tool, the right place. And when people are hurt, harshness is not the right tool. Kindness is the right tool.
Yeah. So I'm thinking of so this young couple I'm taking care of. This was years ago, but she's pregnant. She's with a new baby, or not baby dad. She's with a new boyfriend, and she's sitting there telling me what an asshole the guy who got her pregnant is. And he's sitting there saying what a bitch his ex is. And I said, whoa. I'm like, dude, can you tell me 6 months from now you're not going to be calling her a bitch? And I
Right.
said, can you tell me 6 months from now you're not going to be calling him an asshole?
Correct.
I delivered the baby. They moved out of town. They moved back in town, and she came to see me as a patient. And when she stepped out of the room to go leave a urine sample, he looks at me and says, "You didn't think we'd still be together, did you?" And I was like, this is that couple. And maybe they're together because I called them out.
Correct.
And they didn't report me and I didn't get fired.
Correct. Truth and love. Truth and
Yes.
always. Always. Cool. Any other takeaways from y'all?
I just appreciate how you did the 4 questions in the funnel.
Those are all on Canva too. They're on the emails. So if you need them, feel free to go rip them off and keep them.
Yeah, thank
I
you.
love giving our stuff away. And there's a big example for the Sandler's pain funnel. I think I sent it as well. That is directly how I use it in my coaching. Like the questions I ask, typically going through the coaching to get a coaching client rather than a general client. So awesome.
Is there a way, so my Canva counts with a different email, so it won't let me into any of that Canva?
It won't let you into my Canva?
Yeah, because my
Shared
the Canva account that I use is it's trying to sign me in. So do I need to create another account with that email?
No, if you're logged into your Canva account, it should allow you to see it.
Okay, I'll try and I'll let you know.
If you don't, let me know and I'll send you a direct link and it should let you in then if it doesn't. But that's a shared link. Typically those will let you in and I send it as editors, so it should let you in and change them. So don't change it, just copy it.
Bill,
So,
I was getting a message that I need a code from you. So I don't know if that's
really?
something different either.
Huh. I don't know. Let me resend it. I'll try to resend it to everybody and see if it works. And if it doesn't work, let me know. Super weird. Awesome. Well, hey, it's about the top of the hour. It's great to see everybody. Thanks for coming. Thanks for your time. Um, go find some clients. Practice, 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 practice. Uh, go ask questions. Don't sell. Great to see everybody. Hope you have a good day.
Thank
Thanks.
you all.
Thanks,
Bye.
Dan.
Hey, Terrence, I am recording this, so I'll send it. I'll send a link out so that you have the rest of it as well.
Yeah, I had some tech difficulties. So
I think it was on my end. It was doing weird stuff on my end.
even before that, I was trying to, it's a new laptop and I'm still adjusting to it.
No problems. I just want to let you
And
know.
it's
Sorry about
for
that.
some of this is a new season for me, just to let you know. I retired from full-time employment after
Right.
43 years of starting right there. And so I'm what, 30 days into this right now. This is a different deal for me right now. I'm still working out at the academy
Funny.
as a subcontractor, but half the price, half the cost.
Right. Right.
So I'm still figuring that out right now.
Good. Good. Well, if you need anything along the way, don't feel free to reach out.
Okay. Thanks, Bill.
Yeah. Thanks, Terrence. Talk to you soon.